Husqvarna.
For this ride, we're on the Husqvarna 701 long range, and that's a brand new model. Sort of an update from the existing 701, but it's got quite a few updates in this bike. It's really loaded with technology, with easy shift, up and down. You've got traction control, you've got 2 different ride modes. So this bike's extremely capable from a sort of power performance point of view, but really the biggest asset and feature of this bike is the range capacity. You know, it's carrying 13 litres of fuel in the back of the bike and then 12 litres at the front. And that's going to give us a potential range of over 500 kilometres. So, you know, this single cylinder concept, a plus 500k range, it's agile and it's really got this, you know, the latest state-of-the-art WP suspension. You have the ability with the factory accessories. We've got, you know, panniers at the back of the bike on the left and the right that are more than adequate, and these panniers also come with a dry bag inside, and I think that's going to be pretty helpful because on this ride I'm pretty confident we're going to find some water and some river crossings. So we've got the dry bags inside the panniers to keep all our equipment you know, safe. I'm pretty confident this bike is really the ultimate package for riding around Australia, and in fact this bike was, you know, specifically kind of conceptualised for the Australian market, you know, for our landscapes, for our type of riding that we do here.
Every time I go on an adventure ride, there's no other feeling like it. You're kind of like a kid on Christmas Day. All the preparation, the excitement builds, then bang, the day is finally here. Riding out of the city gives you a good chance to calm the nerves and, for me, get familiar with the new bike. I knew this trip was going to be extra special because we were riding Husqvarna's latest long-range adventure bike, the 701 LR, an adventure bike that takes you places the bigger bikes just can't. This is our one fuel stop for today?
Yeah, that's all we need. We'll top up both tanks, taking 13 litres in the rear and 12 in the front. So
I think this will make for a pretty fun day. 25 litres basically means we don't have to worry about fuel again today, which when you're in the dirt and you're out in the bush, not having to worry about fuel, got to be a good thing.
yeah, it was a pretty unique feeling actually, winding down the hill into Dargle. It was the scene of 1979 Australian Junior Motocross Championship where I was victorious and just have such fond memories of racing there. So that was pretty cool actually, because the place hasn't changed a bit in about 40 years, so yeah.
Up and down the Hawkesbury River, it's great to see they still operate the old ferry for getting cars and bikes across. There's actually 4 ferries located on the Hawkesbury River. This one is at Lower Portland. From here we headed west towards Bilpin, high in the Blue Mountains, and our first real taste of dirt roads. The idea for this trip was pretty simple. Keep it off the tar as much as possible and keep it on the dirt. Off the Bells line of road, we headed down the Blackfellows Hand Trail towards Nunes. The track gets its name from Blackfellow's Hand Reserve, which was a meeting place for the local Aboriginal tribes of the area. Unfortunately, over the years, much of the artwork that was left behind has been destroyed by the fires. From here we continued west, and the view of the Carpety Valley was just spectacular. But you could really see the effects of the fire, the bush appearing more open than it had in the past. But at the same time, it was great to see the regeneration process taking place.
Actually, this new bike is pretty surprising. You can get a bit of air, and it with the new Explore suspension package, it lands quite nicely. Because normally the biggest problem anyone ever has on a jump is not taking off, of course, is landing. And this bike, even with the front fuel tank full of fuel, lands quite nicely.
So we've just come down to Capertree, and funnily enough, we've had great weather most of the way, but it's just started raining. So we've stopped at a servo, and guess what? We don't need fuel, but we have wanted to put the wet weather gear on to keep the water out and keep the cold out. So
that was awesome coming down Blackfellow's Hand Trail. Super scenic, and I guess because the landscape's really burnt out, it's just so different to what we're normally used to seeing. But you can sort of see through the burnt trees and sort of into the gorges and gullies. So it's pretty cool, pretty different.
I tell you, it was freezing cold. I don't think I've ever worn so many layers under my enduro jacket and still been so cold.
Yeah, so we just come down from Carpentry, where you last saw us, and it was absolutely bogging down. We decided that it was too dangerous and too risky to do the Toulon River, so we decided to take the road. We'd come up and we'd come round the back into Safala and then down into Bathurst. So we've just landed in Bathurst, and it's fair dinkum, it's got to be zero. It's absolutely freezing cold, I'm telling you. I mean, holy hell, I got the tinted visor on.
I just wanted to stick behind that car the whole way,
and I haven't got enough layers on, so I can't wait to get to Orange, get a nice hot shower, and then have a nice cold beer, believe it or not.
It was brutal. You know, it was that run from Bathurst through to Orange in the dark, and then pulling into the motel with the sleet coming down on the bike. I knew it was cold, but I didn't think it was that cold. Orange was always going to be kind of an interesting stop for us. Caught up with the old mate Hamo. He obviously knows all the good places in town, and we had an amazing breakfast, which was pretty cool. And after breakfast, what do? You go and have gelato. So he's got a brand new gelato shop, Spilt Milk. So we had to go down there, get a little bit of gelato, which I got to say wasn't bad at all actually. So here we are at the Split Milk Bar in Orange. One of my mates, Hamo, friendly enough, invited us along to try out some of his latest creations here. So I'm on the vanilla choc brownie, and I've got to say it's pretty awesome. I reckon this is gonna power us up for the day. We've got a long day ahead, probably over 300 k's, and I reckon the split milk gelato is going to do the job. Just thought I'd spice it up a little bit, give you a little extra kick with a little bit of choc here. Oh, maybe a little bit too much. Yeah, look, just topping up Hito's bike now, and on the front tank, so we'll see what his burn rate was like yesterday. We travelled about 385 kilometres yesterday. Just taken 11 litres in that front tank, so it was pretty well empty, being a 12-litre tank. We'll just jump to the rear now.
The multi-million-dollar question, how many litres?
My bike burned in total about 18 litres out of the 25 capacity yesterday. So we'll just see what Michael's bike burned as well, all up. See if there's some consistency here with the way we ride and so on. Looks like I was the user of a bit more fuel, so Michael's about 17.5 litres, I burned up 18, so...
He's the racer, I'm just a plotter. So I'm happy plodding along with that speed. Extra half a litre of fuel, who knows? Might need it at the end of the day.
Then we had to visit a winery as well, which Heaper Station, they were very generous and kind to show us around their operation, and I guess that's all part of adventure riding, you know, having a good look around of the various towns that you go to.
With sleet falling and freezing cold outside, it was pretty tempting to stay in here all day. But the day was getting away from us and we really needed to get going.
Once we left Heifer Station, headed out on the highway and sort of up towards Mount Canopolis, and that's where things got a bit serious.
Gee, the weather! Why don't we just go straight back into town and we can pick up your original track? Is that... Yeah. Oh, we said it was freezing cold. This is unbelievable. It's been snowing.
Well, after we sort of sat down and sort of rerouted for day 2 for leaving Orange, we sort of started heading out of town and just hit this incredible fog, sort of, you know, battling to sort of see too far past the front fender actually. So, but you know, that was all part of it, and rerouting and having to kind of think on our feet, you know, where do we go next? It's all part of the fun, to be honest. Yeah, I like that side of it. You know, it's good to be flexible and different things thrown at you, so you have to you know, change your course. Well, the cool thing about the whole trip, to be honest, was, you know, just meeting different people, especially the country folk. They're just so friendly. You know, we were just cruising along actually on a back lane, and next thing you know, we've come across a couple of young shearers, farmers, and sitting in a car, and they said, look, hey, if you want, why don't you head down our place and have a ride on our property? And there was an old railway line there that we found, and then we thought, well, why not? Let's get the bikes down that railway line and check out the suspension. And I tell you what, it wasn't bad at all. The bike soaked it up pretty well. So after day 1, we promised ourselves that we'd never arrive in the dark again, but lo and behold, day 2 kind of ran on a little bit, and next thing you knew, we're in the dark again, and it was probably about an hour's worth of riding in the dark coming into Murrum Bateman, which is a great little town, and we found ourselves a nice little inn there to spend the night. Cool thing about being in the sort of country areas is great. It's just how friendly people are, and whilst we're having dinner at the Murrum Bateman pub there, you know, we weren't quite sure where to go the next day, and a very kind lady serving us actually, she was a college of knowledge on the area. She knew all the back roads, particularly dirt ones, and that was brilliant. The next day we headed out of town and found ourselves on some great tracks. It was a bunch of fun. So a little bit of advice there, if you want to know where to go, you know, lean on the locals.
Mate, one thing I've got to say today, at least there's no clouds in the sky yet, so that's got to be positive.
Yeah, mate, I think this looks good. I'm looking forward to the day, because we've got some ripper terrain coming up. Obviously catching up with our mate Sprocket. Haven't seen him for a while, and no one knows the country where we're going better than him. So.
Yeah, not wrong, that should be really good. So I think from here we'll just grab some fuel, we'll fill the bikes up, and then from here we're going to head over towards Wee Jasper, and then down to Brindabella, and then across to meet Sprocket, like you're saying.
Yeah.
And then being a local boy, he's going to show us some amazing terrain out there today, so I think today's going to be special.
Well, if anyone knows how to deviate, it'll be Sprocket.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think he's also got some private properties that
Yes.
we have access to, so that's going to be pretty cool. So
Yeah.
get some fresh terrain that's probably not used a lot.
Yeah, correct.
And it looks like we've got a fair bit of dirt running today, which is right up my alley.
Yep, perfect. Can't wait.
We just got going, got off to a great start, had some really good, nice windy dirt gravel roads going through some sheep properties, and we're able to kind of, you know, just slide the bikes around a little bit, have a little bit of fun. And really the theme of the day was the Murrumbidgee River, the great river that it is. I think we crossed it 4 times during the day. Pretty cool to sort of follow the course of the Murrumbidgee, and we had some really interesting crossings right through to the last one, which was we found ourselves in Bredbo, crossing it right there. You know, the scenery, and we had some good weather, and suddenly, you know, we had the smile back on our faces, and we were just out there having a bunch of fun. You know, when you're riding on these country roads, you've got to be ready for anything, and we're out on the Brindabella Road just behind Canberra there, and we sort of, first we had a big pile of, a big peloton of cyclists, and then straight after that we ran into a farmer running his sheep down the road, so that was pretty cool to join in there. We're pretty excited about day 3, hooking up with our mate Sprocket, who's the local expert. And you know, before we knew it, we'd sort of pulled up on the side of the road. Sprocket was there waiting for us, letting us know what the day held for us.
Into Adaminaby.
Oh! Whoa! Oh dear! Red clay. When you see wet red clay, you've got to be pretty cautious. Whoa! Light out?
Yeah. Oh, it's two-wheel slide. Ah!
Okay, look. Good old red clay. Oh.
First of all, Mike, what do you reckon so far?
I reckon it's perfect. I reckon for sort of riding, at least what I like to do, which you know, I sort of err a little bit more on the technical side of riding. I just think that, you know, if you go down a track and you find out that it's pretty rugged or it's deep sand, this bike, you can handle it. So it's sort of that bike that you can do anything with. Where other bikes, you know, there's going to be limitations. Oh, nasty. Oh, slippery. One thing that's remarkable about the Aussie landscape, it just changes so much, and you know, coming out of the sort of really heavy forest of the Brindabella, then onto Long Plain, just beautiful, long, as far as the eye could see, grassy plains. You know, the Brumbies running around. There was some beautiful sort of streams running through, and that was incredible. Really cool.
We come down Broken Cart on the Long Plain, down here, across here.
So we must have gone around, because we're on this side, we're about to go back to the dam wall.
There's no dam there.
Oh, okay.
When the dam's up, when it's above about 20-something%, you can't get across there.
Oh, so we've just ridden that, have we?
Yeah, we've ridden across the
Right.
water.
Yeah, right. Well, one thing that's great about riding with Sprocket is he knows where to get a feed. As beautiful as what was up in the Kosciuszko, was pretty cold, I gotta say. So we've hit the local town, the town nearby here, and got myself a nice hot chocolate to warm up. So. Well, Sprocket was there on a first name basis, so I think he had the odd pie there.
How spectacular up there, huh? You got to go back. I mean, it is what you expected, but it isn't what you expected because it's so open. And yeah, just amazing, just fresh. Bit chilly, but yeah, really good. Like really good.
Yeah, one thing about adventure riding, you know, as I said, the terrain can just radically change within sort of 20-30 kilometres, and we came out of the Brindabella National Park, and through those regions it was wet, it was muddy, and then down through Adaminaby. Then we sort of started to make our way through some private properties across to Bredbo, and suddenly the landscape changed completely, and it was dry, it was dusty, it was rocky, and they just haven't seen a lot of rain through that area. So suddenly, we were dealt with a different type of terrain to ride on, and with Sprocket leading the way, we obviously had to keep a pretty good pace through some of the mountains and down the hills on these private properties, and that was amazing. It was really cool to be chasing Sprocket. He's pretty capable on a bike, and sort of test out the 701 suspension going down the big steep hills. Came across a really old homestead, just sort of made of stone, and probably from days gone by when the early settlers were out there tending to the land, the sheep and the herds, and you just sort of try to visualise what it would have been like back in the day, in those awfully cold nights staying in a place like that. We found ourselves winding down a pretty steep and long hill, down in towards Breadbow, and it was really just one more little treat for us waiting at the end, which was the Murrumbidgee River to end the day, and I guess we couldn't help ourselves. We had to splash ourselves and cool ourselves down at the end of the day through the beautiful Murrumbidgee. Miraculously, we found a little 6-pack of Coronas chilling down, and that was pretty welcome at the end of a long, hard day. We were greeted with a -5-degree morning, and once again we found ourselves freezing cold and trying to warm up. But again, that's all part of the adventure.
We've done a little bit of riding, passed a few roos along the way, so we had to contend with a bit of black ice and kangaroos this morning, and we've just stopped in this valley just to get a bit of warmth. Yeah, it's been bloody cold. I think it's might be 2 or 3 degrees now, so it's feeling a bit better. But
Yeah, 2 degrees has warmed up.
Yeah,
warmed up 7 degrees.
But we've had some really good dirt roads, and in the countryside here, it's been nice just cruise along. Quite peaceful actually.
Yeah, it is. Mate, all good things must come to an end. We've been out for a few days now. We started at your place in Sydney, the barbecue, and plotting some tracks and from the Harbour Bridge, and yeah, it's just been an incredible ride, hasn't it?
It has. It's amazing, I think I touched on it before, how we started out crossing the Harbour Bridge, and we're in the busy metropolis, probably one of the busiest parts of Australia, and then probably within an hour and a half we were in the countryside, and then we were able to kind of plot our course as we went along and really cover, like I said, a lot of terrain, but a lot of really interesting different terrain. We've obviously had different weather conditions thrown at us along the way. We've had sleet and heavy fog and low visibility, and here we are today with this beautiful
glorious,
sunshine, and we don't want it to end. It's really heartwarming to get out and just see what a great country you have, and there's no better way to see the country than on a motorcycle, in my opinion, because the way that you can easily move through the different types of terrain, and obviously the bike that we were on, the 701 long range, I think it's been the perfect tool for the job.
So we've maximised southern New South Wales. What do you reckon? Northern New South Wales next?
Well, I think we might head north. We might head to the warmer climates. But that's the thing on this bike. You could just go anywhere you want.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I reckon we should start planning that one and head north next time.
I'm with you.
Let's go.
Let's do it.